Hello everyone, this is Crote giving you a shoutcast and game 2 in a series between Socke and Delphi here on Metalopolis. Socke spawning as the blue Protoss player at the 12 o'clock position, meanwhile Delphi spawning as the red Zerg at the 6 o'clock position. This is Metalopolis. It is going to be a cross spawn, and Delphi's base down over here as the red Zerg quickly now scouting out with this one Overlord. Socke on the north side of the map as the blue Protoss. And I'm going to try not to move around needlessly with the camera controls, as it's a little bit confusing and a little bit dizzying sometimes, and it makes the video files much larger. So Zerg versus Protoss, cross spawns. My thoughts and feelings on a cross spawn between Zerg versus Protoss on Metalopolis. Delphi and the Zerg player generally has an advantage just because it is very easy to establish a second base and a third base here on Metalopolis because of this high ground expansion here. When your opponent is cross spawned, your expansion here, it's very easy to take this expansion early on, as there is a rather wide choke point here, and then adding this expansion doesn't hurt a Zerg player all too much. Creep tumors around here allow for easy transitioning for Zerglings to run up and down this ramp with no real issue at all. We can now see a probe wandering around on the inside of the map. Delphi is getting up one extractor as well as this probe is still wandering around. Is this drone going to try to grow up and be a hatchery? No, not quite yet. As that probe going to decide to just patrol in this location here and try to stop any hatchery placement. We now see a drone making its way to the 3 o'clock position, and as soon as he notices that the 3 o'clock position is open, he's going to be very happy, as he knows that Socke is not going to be able to put any early pressure on his early expansion. Back down over here, the extractor is already up, currently mining gas. Spawning pool is now in play as well, and most likely Delphi will try to mine up to exactly 100 gas, transfer all of those drones onto minerals, and then get enough minerals in order to do an expansion. And drones will be able to make it up that ramp, as there is no zealot in this one position just quite yet, and now that drone will be making its way inside the space, and he's going to see a double assimilator build coming in from Socke. So Socke going with double gas very early on. And I am curious as to what exactly Socke will be going for here on Metalopolis. He could be going for a 4-gate with a lot of early sentries. He could be going for Void Rays and very high tech. Not quite sure yet. Both of those options are viable. You can see a Zealot and a Sentry currently being trained. Cybernex Core currently getting chrono boosted in order to speed up the research on that Warp Gate. And now one probe will be able to escape through this one Zealot right here. And then that one Zealot should be able to hold off the swarm, essentially, as that sentry will be popping out in just a moment as well. Delphi, no longer mining any gas, did establish this hatchery down over here. Perhaps is going to try to train up a lot of Zerglings in order to get a decent map site and map control. Already having one Zergling activating one Xel'Naga watchtower, and another one watching this Xel'Naga watchtower as well. And now there's that gateway, so we may be going into a 4-gate. So a 4-gate with a lot of sentries and a lot of gas units, as we are on double assimilators at this time. One Zergling now just wandering around so far. Perhaps we'll be able to gain some sight. Knows that there is not a Nexus now down. So Delphi, if he's going to play it smart, needs to set up some spine crawlers here. Otherwise, when that 4-gate push finally comes through, it's just going to simply be able to attack, move straight into his base. We do see one gateway here. Perhaps another gateway could be warped down over here as well. Not quite sure. One of the reasons why Protoss players build the pylon here and then the gateway here is that most of the times you can also hide a Nidus network right here, or even a Nidus network right here. Even though the pylon would normally be able to see it, because it is on the other side of the vents, it in fact cannot. Back over here, a Zergling now going to be able to chase down one of those probes. Sentries quickly coming down to intercept and save that one probe. And that probe is able to run away and now warp in a Nexus. So we are getting a Nexus now, and a lot of sentries currently in place. So 6 sentries now have warped in. So this was a mass sentry build in order to just get a lot of force fields to expand into a Nexus. Not a 4-gate push at all. It doesn't look like Delphi did invest any minerals into spine crawlers at all either, so very, very nice for Delphi. Delphi should have, yes, a small economic lead, 37 harvesters compared to 30. And now that is because he also has slight mineral advantage but is behind in gas, 42 harvesters compared to 30. Production-wise, 2 drones, Roach Warren, and now teching to tier 2. So this may be standard Roach Hydra play as an evolution chamber now currently being built. Hatchery almost at tier 2 will be able to go further up that tech tree. Hydralisk, Spire, and Infestors, all 3 are viable options at this stage, but I'm hoping to see Hydralisk as Roaches really balance out Hydralisk well. Mutalisk could also become a factor, but there is not enough Vespene Geysers down, or sorry, enough Assimilators down. No, sorry, Extractors down in order to really support 2 base Mutalisk plays. So it is going to be some Spore Crawlers now coming in. Phoenix still wandering around on the inside, able to get up a lot of sight, and those sentries just essentially hallucinating their way through scouting and able to get plenty of scouting information on Delphi. Back over here, one Overlord parking itself, making sure that there are no Void Rays. Zergling wants to make sure that this 3rd base has not yet been established, as we now see starting to see decent probe saturation at the natural expansion. And 2 Phoenixes now are in the air once again. A lot of that energy has already gone into hallucinations as opposed to force fields. So those sentries are essentially very, very weak Marines right now. They have almost double the life, but they attack much more slowly, and yeah, they attack much more slowly, and they also can get feedback. Back over here, the Phoenix is still wandering around. We do see the Hydralisk then now in play. Level 1 missile upgrades. So it is going to be Roach Hydra. Delphi going to try to push out with Roach Hydra in just a moment, but he perhaps needs a 3rd base. Socke in a very, very impressive state right now, having a very large army, a decent economy, and also getting the level 2 weapons upgrade. Taking a look at Delphi. Delphi not too shabby either, getting more Roaches, more Hydras, getting the level 1 missile upgrades, and also the Groove Spines. This level 2, no, yeah, level 1 ground upgrades for the Protoss. And now a pylon will be warped in here in just a moment. As soon as that pylon is down, as soon as that pylon is down, he'll be able to start getting some natural defense in this area, and then perhaps try to retreat back into this location, setting up another Nexus here. We can see the hatchery by Delphi has already been placed down. Some drones got to the party a little bit too early, and now returning the minerals all the way back home over here at this expansion. But now any additional drones should be able to make their way in, and now Delphi going into a very, very heavy gas build. He was only running off of 2 extractors for a fair amount of time, and now going to be running off of 6 extractors, harvesting with 18 harvesters for gas alone. Level 2 missile upgrades, Roaches and Hydras still being trained. You can see Stalkers now are going to be able to shoo away that Overlord. Overlord is very low on hit points, and Colossi, oh, the Colossi wasn't trained in time, but the robotics bay did reveal that it was most likely researching extended thermal lances. Back here, Overlord's now starting to spread creep across the map, making it difficult for Socke to establish up a 3rd base, but I don't think he knows that Socke is currently already running off of 3 base. Oh no, spoke too soon, as there's already an Overlord inside the base, and now this one Nexus may get a shutdown or have a little bit of pressure coming in from Delphi as soon as he's ready to move out. It doesn't look like he's ready to move out yet, as his Spire is not yet up, and he wants to be able to get Corruptors in order to counter Colossi. We also see an Infestation Pit, so that Infestation Pit may be for level 3 upgrades, or we may actually see Infestors, Broodlords, or Ultralisk. Stalkers now wandering around the middle of the field here, trying to clean up many of those creep tumors. Roach is now also coming in, charging in, going after those units, and oh, Roach is now caught on the wrong side. Is another force field going to be placed down there? Yeah, there we go. And this is just a really bad day for Delphi. Delphi unable to continue that chase. A lot of those Roaches and Hydralisks were just in the wrong position there, and you can see how strong those early sentries are. 6 early sentries able to split apart that army, and it would have been disastrous if a Delphi actually tried to fight there. A lot of probes now being transferred, so a pretty much skeletal army of probes back at the main base. A lot of probes now being transferred over here. We're going to have a very, very strong saturation just within seconds of the mining beginning. And now you see more creep tumors still being laid down by Delphi. Back over here, one probe will be able to make it up this ramp, quickly see that there is an overlord spawning creep, and knows that it can't really do all too much. He will set up a pylon here though. So with the proxy pylon here, he may be able to warp in Dark Templars. Immortals, Stalkers, and Sentries once again moving around the Colossi, able to use that extended thermal lance range, shoot down this one Zergling here. We are currently getting the Corruptor. We are going into Hive Tech now. So Hive Tech in the near future, we'll see what exactly he tries to build with that Hive Tech. Broodlords, Ultralists, or simply for the level 3 of weapons upgrade on his Roach Hydra army. Stalkers, Immortals, and now Spine Crawlers being placed down. So Spine Crawler is going to be placed down over here to try to fend off this attack. There are a decent number of Stalkers and one Observer in the air, and now that poor Attractor will get shut down in just a moment. Delphi needs to make a move, and now going after those Colossi, now pulling away, knowing that those Stalkers are able to attack very efficiently and able to focus down many of those Corruptors just because they have that Stalker blink. Corruptors are faster in theory, but I'm not exactly sure who wins in a race, as the Stalkers are able to blink every 10 seconds. And also they have a faster movement, and they also have a faster movement speed as well. So yeah, give it up to the Stalker. The Stalker will always be able to outrun and the flying Corruptors. And now trying to go after those Colossi once again, now in full retreat. Perhaps we'll be able to get some damage onto that one Colossus. Down it goes. Another Colossus may get taken down. Almost there it goes. Another one gets taken down, and more damage still being dealt. A lot of those Colossus have been now pretty much been neutralized, and this is the last Colossus in that group. And now down to 134 hit points. Hydralisk and Roaches still standing by, and Delphi a little bit behind in terms of the army. Will he be able to counter this army of Stalkers? So this is a Stalker-colossus ball, a very effective strategy which has recently become more and more popular for Zerg versus Protoss. This hatchery is now once again being reestablished. Marines and Hydralisks and Roaches now trying to come in, trying to swarm in. Drones now coming in as well. And there's that force field preventing any serious retreat or any serious engagement so far, as Socke now moves in to try to deal damage towards the natural expansion at what I'll call the 3 o'clock position. And now things are not looking good for Delphi. Delphi needs to deal some damage. He's even on bases. Roach is now trying to come in. Roach is giving chase against those Stalkers, and now those Colossi with such a long range, able to deal so much damage against this Zerg army, which is just sitting on the ground. Corruptors now coming in, getting a lot of damage onto those Colossi. Stalkers, however, able to pick off many of those Colossi. Once again, 3 Colossi are left. Roaches being completely misrallied there. Could have dealt more damage if they just simply attacked, move into that swarm while it was constantly transitioning. Corruptors now flying away, trying to get away from the battle, as those Corruptors want to live to fight another day. 5,450 versus 3,125. This game is still going on strong. Delphi in a little bit of trouble. Socke should be able to put the final nail in the coffin in just a moment. He does have a lot of gateways. If you take a look at his gateways, which I want to be able to, but it doesn't have it on all of a hockey. Currently running off of 8 gateways and 2 robotics facilities, so able to constantly just produce and train units. Production-wise, Zealot charged 2 more Colossi, and now the Zerg level 2 weapons upgrade. Overlords trying to fly away, but it doesn't look like Delphi is really going to stand a chance here. His army is significantly smaller, and it is better upgraded. 2-2 against 1-0, but is the upgrades going to be enough? I don't believe so, as those Stalkers are using Blink very effectively to get across the map. We see a hatchery being placed down here, and there are pylons here, so this is pretty interesting. A hatchery now being placed down here. Zealots now warping in and now trying to deal some damage. Will be able to... No, not even going for that hatchery. There are going to be some photon cannons. Those photon cannons will get up in just a second, as those Stalkers are slowly walking up this ramp to get more damage across those Overlords. Corruptors now trying to get a flank onto those Colossi, but those Stalkers quickly there appearing in the nick of time in order to force those units back. We do have Stargates, and double Stargates or triple Stargates now being built. A Colossi will get taken down very easily. Down it goes. Roaches and Overlords once again trying to battle it out, but those force fields that off of those sentries very early in the game is just making it a very making it very difficult for Delphi to really do anything. He tries to engage, needs to retreat, otherwise he's going to lose more of his units. He retreats and loses more units to the extended thermal lance range. Rinse and repeat, and now Delphi has the larger army, but Socke, I still think, has the stronger presence now during this game. 55 harvesters versus 68. Socke has the stronger food count, but the weaker army. Stalkers are now blinking once again, able to get a lot of damage off against those roaches. Roaches just continuing to fall, 16 damage per attack before you account for armor. Once you account for armor, it's only 4 damage an attack. Socke with this Nexus over here, and now also getting some additional Void Rays to join in on this army, perhaps to try to counter those Corruptors. Corruptors do not deal bonus damage, or that much bonus damage, against a Void Ray, as they are not massive units, only armored. But then again, Void Rays also deal bonus damage towards armored units as well. Back over here, one larva being left behind. There is still creep being generated in this location, and this expansion by Socke is now about 1/10 up and running. Zealots just seen outside that front door. Zealots are upgraded to 1-0. Production wise, we now see what, two Colossus level 3 weapons upgrade, Void Rays, Corruptors, and Broodlords with 2 additional hatcheries. So a very, very nice selection of units. Both players are just trying to counter the other player. Those Broodlords may get some damage, but Stalkers with Stalker Blink counter them so easily that Ultralists are the only thing that really stops them. But then, also the Ultralists take a fair amount of damage from those Stalkers as well. So as long as you have enough Stalkers, you can focus down and take down Colossi, especially if you start using that Blink micro. Roaches and Hydralisks now trying to push out. You can see Socke currently running off of 5 bases, or what I'll call 4, as there's only 1 mineral patch left here, even though there are 5 workers trying to mine from it continually. Yeah, 5 workers that try to mine from it continually. Roaches and Hydras now on that low ground. And Broodlords are now able to just drop in and stop dropping in those Broodlings in order to get more damage. And now in comes those Void Rays. Void Rays and Roaches now trying to come in, and those Roaches are just going to be able to deal so much damage against those Stalkers. The Hydralisk also bringing up the rear, trying to increase the amount of damage, and now in comes some more Stalkers over here. This is going to be a problem as those Zealots continue to just walk in and able to take and absorb a lot of damage from these units. Corruptors are in the air trying to finish off many of those Colossi. The Colossi are now still on the run. And no, there is 1 Colossus left now. Stalker is still on the ground, and a large number of Void Rays. So this is your standard Stalker Void Ray Colossus ball, where Socke tries to leave his very, very expensive units alive. The gateway units are a little bit more expendable. You can play a little bit more risky with them, but you want to keep those Void Rays and those Colossus alive. If you can keep those 2 units powered up throughout the entire game, it is very, very difficult to lose. Colossi now making their way off on the north side over here, perhaps going to try to circumnavigate and get up this ramp in order to shut this down. Army-wise, you can take a look, 5,400 versus 3,025. Those Roaches going to simply walk into an army of Stalkers, and that is never a good sight, especially as this Colossus has already... Especially as those Colossus are now bringing in the rear on that Extractor. Void Rays now trying to push in once again, and now Void Rays getting a lot of damage across some of those drones as well. Drones now getting picked apart as the hatchery is going to quickly get focused down by massed Void Rays. 8 Void Rays in the air dealing so much damage. Down it goes. You can see the Roaches now trying to come in, trying to swarm in. Those Void Rays are fully charged, and it doesn't look like those Void Rays are going to be able to keep that charge against those Roaches, which would be very, very nice, allowing for about, I believe, 25 damage per second, killing a Roach faster than every second. Void Ray army now up to 11. 4 Colossi, and now a whole bunch of Stalkers, 13 Stalkers. We are upgraded at 320, and now more Colossi are being added. Protoss air weapons upgrade also being researched as well. And no sentries in order to stop any of those units from being able to retreat. No force fields to make temporary roadblocks, and those units are now able to run all the way home and perhaps tell their leaders what they saw and try to come up with a strategy in order to win. 6625 for Socke, 3,000 for Delphi. Delphi, I believe, is going to lose this game. He doesn't have the economy. He doesn't have the army size. And, well, Delphi says, GG, well played. That is a very anticlimactic final battle. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed Game 2 in this series. Stay tuned for Game 3.